Here we have Shiva Rea. We're so happy to have you, and we have tons of questions, but we're gonna ask you only a few.
Mon plaisir.
Before your first class in Mont Tremblant Wanderlust, we know you travel a lot. Actually, you travel all the time.
Not all the time.
No? So you
no.
do take little vacation.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
When you travel, how do you stay grounded? Do you have like a special routine or special ritual?
Yes. I'm a practitioner of Ayurveda. And so the main thing when you travel is, of course, vata, which means excess air and space. It's what you see in the airports or on the roads. It's that kind of frantic energy. And so for me, the most important thing is to be in nature. And also very simple, like I just went to the Scandinavian spa on the river that's here in Mont Tremblant, is to get into water, the local water, when you can. And also steaming, particularly when you fly. It's quite incredible on our cells, that type of, we haven't quite adapted to it, but I find if I can steam, if I can have some antioxidants, so like some fresh juice, and then I'm usually not so intensive on my first day in terms of yoga practice, like meditation. What we would call a boomy prana vinyasa is a slow, low to the ground vinyasa, long and slow breath.
Amazing.
Get relaxed, allow your body to recalibrate.
Perfect. Wow. We love steaming too.
Yeah.
But especially in the winter.
Yes.
In the winter, it gets really, really cold here.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, thank you for sharing. And in a typical day in your life, we all have, I'm also a yoga teacher, and we all have our little ritual, like we wake up at this time and then we start meditating or we do. What's a typical day in your life when you're not traveling?
Yeah. So I think my rhythm is often the opposite of the rest of the world because we're usually serving the people on the weekend, and then kind of, Monday through Thursday is this different rhythm. And for me, that rhythm, it really depends on what's going on, before and after. So I would say I have a kind of a solar rhythm and a lunar rhythm. And to me, the most important thing is how we wake up in the morning. And so I do a lot of yoga in my bed that is sahaja. I don't know if you know this word, sahaja. It's a beautiful, beautiful Sanskrit word. It means the spontaneous unfolding. And often when people wake up, you see babies, they're always in sahaja. They have this kind of oscillation, particularly with your spine. And so I like to, it doesn't matter what time I need to get up. My preference is to be up with the sunrise, but if I've had if I've been, traveling or we've done a big teacher training, then I like to just let my body wake up whenever it needs to wake up, which is still the morning, but to really stay in bed, with your partner or your dog or your children or your cat and really embrace, really generate love, and then also let this kind of spontaneous current move through you. And to really, for me, it's really important to have a slow kind of divine breath, because I think it's very easy when we get in the flow, even when you're a yoga teacher, this slowing down to perceive this sublime breath. And so that's I would say my main practice for the last 25 years is to try and begin this way. And it's actually not an effort. It changes everything. And then if it's a lunar rhythm, I call it tiger time. I try and really stay close to home. And of course, I prefer meditation in the morning and movement practice in the afternoon with the sunset. And then I like to really try and be outside in some way. If there's no surf, to kayak if I can, even if it's just a half hour, 45 minutes, or cycling. I feel it's really important to be outside with the fresh prana. And then, of course, we're like all digitally connected, so we have, I don't know about you, you have hundreds of emails a day. So I am often reclining, laying down underneath a tree, or I like to relax and lay around like a tiger, even when doing administrative things. It seems to create a nice balance.
I love it.
When I writing time, then it's like up, and then I even believe in the not just the sitting desk, either on a ball or
that's what I do.
Or when you're doing your thing, you can still be doing yoga, all kinds of yoga. So I think everybody, when you can, this virtual office is kind of breaking down this static way of relating to the administrative aspects of our life. So I think that's something very powerful that yoga is bringing into the world.
It's true. We never talk about that part, the administrative part. But we won't talk about it because people don't want to hear about that.
But it's important to know that we can be creative.
Yeah.
So that there's not these dual rhythms. Like, okay, now I'm in yoga, and then now I have to do this. So
it's true. Talking about your teaching, I'm a new yoga teacher. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for years, but I'm a new yoga teacher. How, after all those years, how do you stay inspired? I know it's very consuming. It's hard to keep giving. And what's the secret?
Yeah, I think for me, I don't know if you saw the book I wrote called Tending the Heart Fire.
No, but I want to.
Yeah. It just came out at the beginning of this year. And this whole metaphor of fire keeping, because it's really our legacy, all our ancestors. The first yoga was around the fire. It's still, whenever we get around a fire, we go into natural meditation. So I think our yoga practice, our teaching is like fire keeping. We have to, when things get dim, we do have to know what is really the fuel that brings our dim fire back. And for me, the heart and passion and love and devotion is very important, and also diversity, because I was an Ashtangi, which I appreciate that practice very much, for 10 years. So it was really like the same sequence, a lot of tapas. And so now, in terms of even what I offer in the world, has been based upon my own experience of, bringing Ayurveda and Tantra into movement sadhana and having an elemental diversity. So we already described an earth-based practice, a more fluid water-based practice, the time to really stoke the fire, the time, air I call the breath of the heart. Time really when you feel your heart, your love, your devotion, your connection with your family, your friends. When you feel your heart is kind of shutting down, that's our responsibility. It's nobody else's. So really, what's a heart-based sadhana for you? And then also space. Space is really important. So I think the thing for longevity, I think when you're new to the practice or new to teaching, that tapas is important.
Yeah.
To churn and allow some of, particularly the openings in the body, they require that churning. But then after a while, I think for me, it's about more to move like the river, to be able to change and still always stay part of the flow.
Yeah.
So for me, that metaphor is fire keeping, really, really listening really to my heart is the main practice.
Beautiful. Yeah. My last question, because I don't want to keep you too long.
It's okay.
It's a privilege, really.
Yeah.
Why do you think yoga is so popular now, and it's been there for so long, for 5,000 years and more? Why now?
Right. We actually did my master's thesis at UCLA on this very question, and it's free. You can get it for free on my website. It's about Hatha yoga is a practice of embodiment. And embodiment simply meaning, permeate, when the body is permeated with consciousness. And if you think of the times we live in, or even the last 100 years, where we used to spend, the statistics, we used to spend most of our time outside. Now we spend most of our time inside. We used to have a lot of movement diversity. And now it's kind of, drive, computer,
Yeah.
So I think the popularity of yoga has a lot to do with the cells of the body, understanding that they need circulation, but not just fitness, that there's this reintegration of our consciousness that we could say is really kind of a traditional way of being. When you go to the village or you go, I travel a lot in indigenous parts of the world, people are more in being time. And so I think the meditative aspect of yoga is really important. I think sometimes people feel just the cellular level, like they need to circulate, they need to breathe, they need to move. Why is yoga more popular or increasing in popularity? Is it fitness overall that's increasing? I think in some ways, yes. I think people are taking also responsibility for their own health. And I think it's really incredibly positive, and it's an incredibly empowering. And I think it's also really, it's easy. Is the glass half empty or is the glass half full? I think it's really important to look and see these larger movements of consciousness and to affirm them, that it is happening. People are waking up and people are getting more connected.
I love it. I love you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Merci, Shiva.
Big
hug. Thank you so much. Absolutely. I would have kept you for so much longer.
That's okay.
But I'm going to be doing all your class.
Okay, awesome.